seen that little hammer thingy. And thank you.
Hammer thingy?
Well, it got the ball rolling, so to speak. All right, thank you. There we go. All right, so just asking everybody to please turn off your phones and anything else that you have that beeps or makes a lot of noise. And then also, just to let people know, to be aware that when we do public comment, we take 10 public comments at the beginning of the meeting. And then if there's other people that want to make public comment beyond that, then we will have room at the end of the meeting for additional public comment. So at this point, I've called the meeting to order. Would you please take roll call? City Clerk Barr, thank you.
Councilmember Lowe? Here. Councilmember Gurney?
Here.
Vice Mayor Wellander?
Here.
Councilmember Dean?
Here.
Mayor Farrar-Rivas?
Here.
Thank you.
All right, there was no closed session tonight, thus no report on the closed session. I would like now to see if I can have, yes? Oh, the Pledge of Allegiance, yes, I'm moving way too fast here. I'm going to slow down just a little bit. It's an inside joke. So please stand as you are able for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Jim. Councilmember Ding. Okay, and then at this point, I'd like to have a motion to approve the agenda. Before doing that, I think we have something from City Manager Guin.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'd like to request that we remove item 9.2, and I will bring that back at a later date.
I move approval of the agenda with the removal of item 9.2.
I second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Now we will be moving on to comments from the public, and this is the public comment period I was referring to. This is comments from the public that are not related to anything on the agenda. Do I have anybody who would like to come up and make a public comment?
Hello, I'm Donna Dombach. This is fortuitous. I was going to make a comment later in the agenda, but since now the agenda item has been removed, I just want to thank the staff, thank David, thank Jennifer. I hope that item 9.2 moves forward, because this idea of being able to preserve current affordable housing and 18 units and partnering with Designee nonprofit and using the Housing Trust Fund to complete that, I think is a wonderful use. So I hope it, for whatever reason it was removed, I hope that it follows through. The only other comment following on that is just a request for an understanding of if it's possible for the city to create a fund for housing that allows tax deductible donations from the public so that we can fund the Housing Trust Fund for future needs. Thank you.
Yes. Hello. State your name, please.
Good afternoon. Peter Alexander. We have a choice to choose for self-determination. Either continue paying a rigged system, our rents, mortgages, and utility bills like PG&E, owned by the Rothschilds, knowing all wars and depressions are orchestrated by usurious bankers, or financially cease paying them together and funnel these funds to greenhouses and gardens for our family and friends. For as we cease paying the warmongers together, we overcome by love. And what would the sheriffs do if we all stopped paying mortgages and rents together? Probably give us the biggest round of applause we've ever seen, because they're in trouble also for all this corruption. The 40-day freedom strike frees law enforcement to work for us under the U.S. Constitution. Otherwise, within a short amount of time, these opportunities will be lost, and they will end up working for the United Nations World Banks. Be sure that America is at war, both financially and physically. Iran is being attacked for being one of the last nations refusing to capitulate to the usurious world banking system. In this nation, only North Dakota, refusing these banks, is the only state that's not in debt. 1992 to 2008 recessions, millions lost their homes by usury manipulations. Clint Eastwood in Pale Raider says, "You can't serve two masters, being mammon and God. Mammon is the greed of usury and the subsidizing of oil, coal, and the slaughterhouse." Most all homes have been paid for 10 times over, so who are we paying besides these bankers? I am Peter, and I'm here speaking truth to power and empowered by the Christos light, both all-powerful, undefeatable, and unbeatable. Even PG&E is owned by Rothschilds. We have a choice, and that choice is to serve love and the American way, the power of the patriot, and to serve and honor our vets and law enforcement, for they are all being undermined by this system of corruption, and they will all be working for Agenda 21, as are our politicians, even those that are trying to do the right thing. But the 40-day strike will free even you to work under the U.S. Constitution, which has never been done.
Thank you very much. Other public comments, please?
Good evening, Jeff Lensel. The California heirloom organics caused Monsanto panics. Eddie Albert, David Wolf, and good heavens, John Jeevans turned any yard into a bountiful garden. By all means, beg pardon, be sure to include Bob Kennard. Green Acres star Eddie Albert bought a farm and bought his wife a hilarious charm, because farmers are the backbone of this nation, and heirloom organics be quite the sensation. He quit being a lawyer wary of all the greedy needs. Eddie Albert orchestrated a program offering the world's poor free organic seeds. And the avocado, David Wolf is beyond suspicion, is America's leading expert at organic raw nutrition. We have the good John Jeevans deploying all to grow, rather bio-intensive, showing us all the bountiful common sense call need hardly be expensive. And there's organic master Bob Kennard, who grows crops amongst the weeds, all natural path, avoiding the wrath, together with love favored from beyond and above. Here ye be you clear to see, every farmer's son and daughter, all things will wither, lest there be forever clean water. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and let's wake up. We are the most powerful.
Do we have anybody else that would like to make a public comment at this time? Thank you. We will move on to meeting dedications. Do I have any meeting dedications from our council members tonight? Yes. Councilmember Gurney.
I'd like to dedicate this evening's meeting to Robert Cowell. And Mr. Cowell came to Sonoma in 1999 with his partner, and after getting established in the community, he was tapped to be the Sonoma Valley Hospital CEO. And his background was in medicine, administration, and even during the war he served in a military hospital. And anyway, he was at the hospital here. I worked with him when I was police chief, and after he left the hospital here, he stayed very active in the community, serving on the board of directors for the Luz Center and the Sonoma Community Center when I was the executive director. So I would like to dedicate tonight's meeting to Bob.
Thank you. All right, and now we are going to go to item number 3, council members' reports and comments. Do we have any comments? Okay, so unfortunately, I have a few. They're be very quick. So on June 5th, I attended the Sonoma Clean Power meeting, and just to let people know that Sonoma Clean Power Board voted to expand services to unincorporated Lake County, the city of Clear Lake, and the city of Lakeport. So this would mean that Sonoma Clean Power would be servicing Sonoma County, Mendocino County, and also Lake County. And it will be, the final agreement will be signed in 60 days from June 5th to give members of the community or city councils time to, if they want to agendize this item and speak about it. But it's a very positive move. So, and then moving on June 9th, I attended the Climate Safe Sonoma meeting at the Chamber Council's Sonoma Business Chamber. Oh, I can't say this right. I won't get it right. Okay. So what we're doing is we're working to collect initiatives from restaurants, hotels, wineries and the city of Sonoma so that we can be publicizing all of the sustainability and climate safe initiatives that are happening in the city of Sonoma as a way to attract people that are looking to go on vacations and day trips to cities that are climate safe. And then I also, on June 11th, this is very climate-oriented report, just coincidentally. So attended the National Climate Mayors meeting where there was, and I'll just say a presentation from U.S. Senator Shelton Whitehouse of Rhode Island, talking about just kind of climate issues in relation to cutbacks from the federal government, and also Attorney Amy Turner, who's with the Sabine Center for Climate Change Law and at Columbia University. And then on June 13th, this is a fun one, I attended the Transcendent event. It was the first Friday night, not the first night, for Transcendent, which is here through the summer, and they're here 2 weekends a month through the summer, and I was joined by Vice Mayor Wellander and Councilmember Ding. And that was best night ever. It was, and that's the name of the show, and it was best night ever. It was fantastic. And then on June 17th, I attended a meeting regarding having a Sonoma shuttle loop that would actually extend Sonoma County Transit bus services to go into the evening, so from 4:30 to 10. Not that this is going to happen, would be great if it would be happening, but so I attended the meeting with Deputy Director of California Treasury, Kaya Morton, and then 2 members from Caltrains, Tim Zahner from Sonoma Valley Visitors Bureau. And we attended that meeting to look for funding possibilities. So, and we got ideas, but so this is just the beginning of hopefully eventually having a shuttle that would run from 4:30 or 5 to 10 when the Sonoma County transportation stops. Yeah. Mayors and councils. Oh, yes. Oh, we did that. That was Thursday night. It wasn't on my calendar because that's where I get these notes because I didn't forget. I knew I was going to that. So on Thursday, June 12th, we were able to host, with the help of our city clerk, Rebecca Barr, who put together an absolutely fabulous dinner at the Swiss Hotel. And so what happens is every month the mayors of the cities in Sonoma County meet. Every other month we have a dinner in one of the cities, and then that's where all the mayors and city council members come and gather together too. And so we did it at the Swiss Hotel, and Kristen Dunlap, and I'm going to forget her last, Chase, of the Dunlap family that owns the Swiss Hotel, did a great presentation of the history of the iconic Swiss Hotel. But that was and we also had a presentation from Sonoma State University. And that's my report, and we have no other reports. Yes, we do. Councilmember Wellander.
It was more of a history lesson. I had a chance on Saturday to go to the Bear Flag event on the plaza, which they were celebrating a significant anniversary of the raising of the Bear Flag, and somewhat embarrassed as having a degree in history, it was shared some very interesting facts about the number of flags that have flown in this town over the last 2.5 centuries. And again, I'm reminded how blessed we are to live in such a historically rich community. Thank you.
Do I have any comments from our city manager, David Gurney?
Yeah, a couple updates. One, I just want to remind everybody that there is paving work going on at West MacArthur and 5th Street West. That's due to the Hummingbird Cottages development that's being built. So detours should be done tomorrow. So detours are happening through today and tomorrow. So if you run into that, be aware. We're planning for a prescribed burn at the Montini Preserve. There's information out there on our city's website, and also through Sonoma Ecology Center. It'll be a one-day operation that I believe the potential is going to be next week, depending on weather and the site conditions. It'll be about 20 acres. Again, it's the City of Sonoma, CAL FIRE, Sonoma Valley Fire, Sonoma Ecology Center, and Sonoma Resource Conservation District are all working together on this. The goal is obviously to reduce the wildfire risk in a very high fire severity zone that's bordering the city limits. And the goal is to restore the natural grasslands and manage the invasive species. So please check the website if you about timing. Again, we'll have to check the winds, check the weather, make sure it's okay to do. And if you see smoke, there'll be a lot of signs and outreach when we do it as well. That's what that's about. Also, just as an update, the second phase of our tree maintenance on the plaza is going to begin next week, and so there'll be some tree work happening in the plaza, so just some cleanup work and identifying of limbs to make sure that the trees are healthy and safe for the visitors and the trees themselves. And then finally, just a reminder, our office is closed tomorrow. The city offices are closed tomorrow on June 19th in observance of Juneteenth holiday. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. And also for our city attorney, David Ruderman, do you have any comments for us?
No comments this evening, thank you.
All right, thank you. And now moving on to presentations. We have two great presentations tonight. So first, we are going to do the recognition of the Sonoma Splash Lifeguards for their life-saving efforts on January 12th, 2025, when they rescued one of the adult lifeguards that was having a cardiac emergency. And so I would actually like to call up Rochelle Fugit-Schneider, I hope I pronounced that correctly, Joelle Avila Vega, Isabella Alvarez, Remy Harrison, Alegria Silvi, Skylar Parker, Victor Astua, Emily Shoemaker. Do I have everybody? Yes, I do. All right. Just wanted to know if any of you would like to make a comment before we hand you your recognitions.
AEDs and CPR training, say plus, they'll get certified.
Thank you. Thank you. So Emily Shoemaker. There you go. And then also we have Victor Astua. And we have Skylar Parker. Thank you. And Alegria Silvi. There you go. Oh, look, you guys look like you all look all nice and Remy Harrison. She's not here. She's not here. Does someone want to take this up? And we have Isabella Alvarez. On the screen. And we have Joelle Avila Vega. And last but not least, of course, is Rochelle Fugit-Schneider. All right, so we're going to get up here, and if you want to come up here when they play this circle. So you can all, yeah, hold them all down. I don't just hold them all on.
All right.
There they are.
Just look all over. There you go.
That was fun.
That's great.
Wow, that was a splash. Very good. All right, and now I am going to our next proclamation for the evening, and that is a proclamation proclaiming June 2025 as Pride Month in the city of Sonoma. And I'll read that. Yes, we did have a very, very wonderful Pride celebration. So, whereas the City of Sonoma is proud to honor and celebrate the rich diversity, resilience, and contributions of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and questioning, intersex, asexual, LGBTQI plus community, and whereas the Pride Month commemorates the historic Stonewall Uprising of June 1969, a pivotal moment in the ongoing struggle for the LGBTQI plus civil rights, and serves as a powerful reminder of the courage, strength, and activism that has brought us closer to equity and inclusion. And whereas Sonoma Valley is home to the vibrant LGBTQI plus community that plays an essential role in the cultural, economic, and civic life of our region, enriching our neighborhoods, shaping our local businesses, driving tourism, and creating a more compassionate and welcoming community for all. We acknowledge the unique challenges faced by members of the transgender community and affirm our unwavering support for their rights, dignity, safety, and full inclusion in every aspect of life in Sonoma. And then, through the events of our Sonoma Valley Pride event that hosted by the city and the raising of the Pride flag at the library, the community recognizes the importance of uplifting the LGBTQI plus voices, promoting visibility and safe spaces, and ensuring that Sonoma remains a safe place where love is celebrated, authenticity is honored, and diversity is embraced throughout the year. So whereas during the month of June and throughout the year we stand united with LGBTQI plus neighbors in solidarity and celebration, committing ourselves to building a more just, equitable, inclusion future for all. That now therefore be it resolved that the City Council and City of Sonoma does hereby proclaim the month of June 2025 as Pride Month in the City of Sonoma. And we encourage all of our residents to recognize and celebrate the valuable contributions of the LGBTQI plus community. So thank you, and I would like to have Lisa Storman and Gary Saperstein please come out to accept this.
I want to have Matthew come up too.
You can have Matthew come up, have the full game. Do you want to say a few words first? Do you have anything? Did you have anything to say before our photo?
Oh, come on.
Come on, we know.
Never sure.
Well, we really do appreciate that the City of Sonoma does support Pride, and it has been a wonderful partnership and welcoming to all of us who are queer, and so thank you very much.
Thank you for everything you do for our community. Here we go.
All right. 1, 2. Thank you.
Now, moving on to our consent calendar. Here we go. So, just so everybody is aware that all of the items listed on the consent calendar are considered to be routine and will be acted upon by a single motion. And there will be no separate discussion of these items unless members of the council or staff request specific items be removed for separate action. So does anybody wish to pull any items from the consent calendar? All right. I will open the consent calendar
Madam
up.
Mayor?
Oh, yes.
I do have one disclosure that I need
Yes.
to read
Oh,
related to the
that's right,
consent
yes.
calendar. So under Government Code, Section 54953, Subdivision C3, prior to taking final action, the legislative body shall orally report a summary of a recommendation for final action on the salaries, salary schedules, or compensation paid in the form of fringe benefits of a local agency executive during an open meeting in which the final action is to be taken. So as a result, this evening, item 7.6 on the consent agenda, the council will be considering the following recommendation related to the city's executives. First, a cost of living adjustment over the next 3 years of 3%, 2.5%, and then in the third year, a maximum of 2.5% with provisions for budget shortfalls. Second, removal of the requirement that they contribute 1.5% toward the city's cost of pension benefits. Third, the addition of the Juneteenth holiday. And fourth, an increase in the city's maximum contribution to healthcare premiums. So that is a summary of the recommendations related to local agencies' salaries that is before you this evening.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Very much appreciated. So then at this time, I'll see if I have a any other public comments. That wasn't a public comment, but if I have public comments, seeing no public comments, I will ask for a motion.
Move to approve consent calendar.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you. And we have no public hearing this evening, so we're going to move on to item 9, our regular calendar. And the item that we have on the agenda tonight is approval of the fiscal year 2025-26 City of Sonoma operating and capital improvement budget. So what we will happen is we will can have a presentation on the overall budget, then we'll have questions. After that, we will have public comment on the budget, and then we'll bring that back to the council for discussion. And the reason I'm describing this process, and then we will have 6 votes on the different elements of the budget. But there will not be further discussion within those elements. We will just be going then at the end, going through all the voting. So at this point, I would like to invite our Director of Finance to come up and give us a presentation.
And before, before you start, I'd like to introduce you, but also introduce this item for property. So first off, I'm pleased that we're presenting this to you tonight. I think that the word of the year is uncertainty, and that's been said a lot. We've talked about that a lot during the study sessions. You're hearing it over and over again. And I just want to let the council know and the public know that the budget that's before you today has done a lot to try to address uncertainty, but we recognize that we may need to come back in future dates, but we've taken a very cautious approach to what we're bringing you today to approve. Despite that, we are proud that we're bringing you a balanced budget. And I think that is important, to bring you a balanced budget to respond to. With that rebalanced budget is also addressing council goals. It's looking at enhancing services for our community. And so I'm very proud about this budget, bringing this forward. I'm proud about the work that Property and her team have done to pull this together, and all the staff that helped get this pulled together and brought to you in this format. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to our Finance Director of Property to take it from here, and then we're here to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Mayor and City Council. Tonight, I'm here to present you fiscal year 25-26 operating and capital improvement budget. Okay, and then the agenda for today is fiscal year 25-26 budget overview, general fund review, budget modification, personnel overview, capital improvement program, and question and answers. For the budget overview, we will be talking about the budget status, national and state outlook, 25-26 budget approach, and then major budget drivers. For the budget status, we're in the phase 4 of the budget process, and staff seek your approval for the budget adoption in today's meeting. The phase 5 of the budget status is publishing the budget book online and entering in our finance system, ERP system, Springbook. Here are the council goals that was formulated earlier this year. In preparing the fiscal year 25-26 budget, we prioritize initiatives that aligns with the council's vision and objectives. So moving on to the national economic outlook for 2025, the Federal Reserve projects the real GDP growth of 2% in 2025 and 1.9% in 2026, which is a slowdown from the previous years. For inflation, it is projected to stay around 2.6 to 2.8%, partly due to the new tariffs imposed by the federal administration. Similarly, the interest rates are expected to stay above 4%. This means that the borrowing will remain expensive, which could affect the home buyers and the businesses. On the labor market, the unemployment is expected to rise to 4.3% in 2025 and 4% by the end of 2026. However, the labor market faces the structural strain. Mass deportation proposed by the federal administration would heavily impact construction and agriculture, sectors which are already facing the labor shortages. These shortages are likely to push the wages higher, especially in lower wages and labor-intensive jobs. The resulting instability could reduce consumer spending and widen workforce gap in the critical industries. For the policy impact, proposed federal tariffs and deportation policies could raise costs for local businesses and reduce consumer spending within the community, which would eventually impact the local revenues such as sales tax and TOT. Some of the risk for the national economic outlook is the ongoing policy uncertainty at the federal level is creating the economic volatility that impacts our local budget. Delays in federal decisions on like funding, immigration, and healthcare also reduces the consumer spending and affect key revenues like sales tax and TOT. On the state of California outlook, the housing market, housing prices are expected to increase between 3 to 5% in 2025, with the strongest gain happening in Southern California. In contrast, the Bay Area market is projected to see a slower growth. Because of the high interest rate, high mortgage rate, and rising insurance premium, it continues to impact the affordability of the home buyers. On the economic and labor trend, California's economy is projected to grow at the comparable rate to the national level, which is around 1.5 to 2%. The job growth also is expected to slow to 0.8%, and then the unemployment rate is forecasted to be at 5.7%. However, the real personal income tax in California is anticipated to increase to 2.5% in 2025, which means modest gain in residents' purchasing power. On the state budget and fiscal health, the May revision of California's fiscal year 25-26 budget proposes $321.9 billion total, out of which $228.9 billion is general fund. The projected general fund deficit is $12 billion, and to close the gap, the state is deferring planned funding for higher education, capping overtime in home care workers, and pausing the Medi-Cal expansion for undocumented adults. Despite these fiscal challenges, the state is focused on preserving their priorities, which is funding on the education for transitional kindergarten, wildfire resilience effort, housing programs, and healthcare. Some of the risk to watch is the wildfire disruption. Wildfire remains a persistent risk in our region. Beyond property damage, they disrupt the tourism, local businesses, and infrastructure, which threatens both the economic stability and revenue continuity. Federal policy changes, such as particularly around trade and healthcare, may directly impact our revenue stream, such as reduced federal funding or regulatory changes that increases the local cost for the local municipalities. And for the state, the rising cost of living continues to be challenged to attract and retain the qualified workforce. It also places additional financial stress on residents, potentially affecting the sales tax revenue. Okay. So for 25-26 budget approach, to ensure the fiscal responsibility, fiscal year 25-26 budget approach is to adopt a balanced budget built on conservative revenue projection that accounts for potential economic uncertainties. In response to the fiscal pressure, the department identified targeted budget reduction to help maintain essential services. We did delay a few capital improvement projects, which will be discussed later during the mid-year. And we also addressed one-time budget requests with the reserve rather than the ongoing revenues to avoid these structural imbalances. We will be revisiting some of the unfunded requests in mid-year to ensure that the city remains responsive and adaptive throughout the fiscal year. Okay, so the major budget drivers, both for revenue and expenses, are listed on this slide. So the personal cost has increased 10% over the fiscal year. This is mainly due to the wage adjustment and benefit cost increase. CalPERS UAL increased 9% compared to the prior fiscal year. The operating cost rose by 9.5%, reflecting the impact of inflation and higher utility cost. On the revenue side, TOT is projected to level off in fiscal year 25-26 due to flat room growth. And then Measure T is expected to generate additional $2.6 million, although the overall sales tax is anticipated to remain flat or slightly lower. Meanwhile, the property tax revenue is projected to grow by 3.65% in 2025-26. Okay. Moving on to the budget review, we will be talking about the citywide revenue and expenses, general fund revenue, general fund expenses, 5-year general fund forecast, and the revenue level, reserves level, For the citywide revenue, the total citywide proposed revenue for fiscal year 25-26 is $45.7 million. The decline in special revenue fund, capital project fund, is due to the completion of AMI project in fiscal year 24-25. And then the increase in agency fund is due to the budgeted interest rate, which was not budgeted in the prior fiscal year. Okay, for the citywide expenditure, the total citywide expenditure proposed for fiscal year 25-26 is $44.7 million. The decline in special revenue and capital project fund is due to the completion of projects funded out of gas tax, RMRA, and Park Measure M. And the decrease in enterprise fund is due to the completion of AMI project in fiscal year 25. We do see the decrease in internal service fund too, because we didn't have any vehicle purchase request for fiscal year 25-26. Moving on to fiscal year 25-26 revenues. So the top 3 general fund revenues for the cities are TOT, property tax, and sales tax. So for the TOT, in 2025, California room revenue is expected to rise just by 0.2%. Locally, Sonoma Valley Visitors Bureau is focusing a marketing effort in statewide in-state travelers, and state's new California Love Canada campaign aims to target the Canadian visitors, since we have seen the declining international arrival in the state. There are no new lodging planned within the city limit for next fiscal year, which is why for fiscal year 24-25, for fiscal year 24-25, the projected TOT is $5.9 million, and with the minimal growth of 0.19%, the projected budget for fiscal year 25-26 is $5.98 million for next year. So moving on to the property tax. As of March 2025, Sonoma home prices remain high, with the median sale price of $1.13 million. However, due to high mortgage rate, which is around 7%, that has significantly slowed the home sales and created a lock-in effect where homeowners are, with the low mortgage rate, are reluctant to sell. While new constructions and commercial reassessments continue to contribute to the tax base, the impact of high interest rates is expected to moderate the revenue growth. For fiscal year 25-26, the property tax revenue is projected to increase just by 3.65% to $5.9 million. And then by fiscal year 30, it is expected to be $6.87 million. On the sales tax trend, in fourth quarter of 2024, the city saw a 4.1% drop in sales tax revenue, driven by reduced consumer spending with high inflation and interest rate. Hotel sales declined 19%, dining fell over 5%, and home goods dropped 9%, while quick service restaurant rose 1.7%, signaling the shift towards the affordability. Despite the slowdown, Measure T is projected to bring in $2.6 million in fiscal year 26. However, the total sales tax revenue for 25-26 is forecasted to 9.17 million, which is, the sales tax is forecasted to remain flat or small decline. Okay, moving along. Here is the bar chart for the general fund income by source. The top revenue source for the city is sales and use tax, which includes the general sales tax, public safety, Measure V, and Measure T, followed by TOT and property tax. The total proposed revenue for 25-26 is $28.8 million. For the expenditures, one of the biggest expenditures for the city is the pension liability, and then the total UAL cost for 25-26 is $2 million, which represents 9% increase from the last year. This increase is driven by the CalPERS investment return of 5.8% for fiscal year 22-23, which fell short of 6.8% expected return. While this is a recovery from negative 6.1% in fiscal year 21-22, this marks the second consecutive year of underperformance for this investment. Okay, so the total general fund expenditure by department is shown in this slide. The total expenditure for fiscal year 25-26 is $28.6 million. The total expenditure for the fire department is $8.1 million, which is 28.4% of the total general fund budget. Similarly, the total expenditure for the police department is $7.8 million, which is 27.2% of the general fund budget, which concludes that the public safety is 55.6% of the total general fund budget. The next slide is the general fund expenditure by different department. Again, the total proposed budget for 25-26 is $28.6 million, which reflects the 1.5 increase from the amended budget of 24-25. The largest increase in departmental budget includes building, public works, streets, and community activities, which is primarily due to the staffing adjustment, program enhancement, higher costs for goods and services, and service expansion. There is a notable increase in finance department, while the public information and engagement and emergency preparedness and response are added as a new department for fiscal year 25-26. On the other hand, some of the department experience reduction, which includes the transfer out and non-departmental and planning, which is basically due to the reallocation of funds and personnel and some projects delay for the mid-year. Okay, so next we have general fund expenditure by type. The most significant increase is the personnel cost, rising 10.6% due to the salary and benefit adjustment. Next is PERS UAL, which increased 9%. And then the operating cost grew by 9.5% due to the inflation and rising utility cost. Contracts for public safety also rose. The sheriff contract increased by 5.8%, and then the fire department contract by 2.8%. In contrast, the professional services saw the significant reduction for 32%, and then the transfer out was decreased by 38%, which is due to the delayed CIP for the mid-year ask. For the personal services, the reduction is due to some of the expenses that incurred in fiscal year 24-25, like election, labor negotiation, fee study, which we will not have for the next year because we're in the process. Those are all completed. Okay. So here's the general fund overview. The total revenue is $28.8 million, and total expenditure is $28.6 million. The modest surplus reflects the city's continued commitment to fiscal responsibility by aligning ongoing revenues with expenditures while maintaining the adequate resources to respond to the unforeseen needs and opportunities during the fiscal year. Okay, moving along, we will be talking next about the 5-year forecast and reserves. The city's multi-year general fund forecast shows a return to a structural balance beginning in fiscal year 25-26 with the projected surplus of $0.2 million due to the passage of Measure T. Modest surplus are expected to continue through fiscal year 30, ranging from $0.12 million to $0.26 million annually. However, this outlook remains very sensitive to key cost drivers, particularly like contracted public safety services. If the cost of either sheriff contract or fire contract increases beyond the current projection, even slightly, the city could quickly shift back to the deficit position, given the relative narrow annual surpluses as shown in this chart. Which is why the need for the continued monitoring and contingency planning to maintain the long-term fiscal sustainability, it will be our top priority. Okay, now this is the general fund reserve projection. Per our fiscal policy, city needs to maintain 17% of operating reserve of the adopted budget. So for fiscal year 23-24, the operating reserve is $4.4 million, emergency reserve is $1.5 million, and unreserved undesignated fund balance is $10.2 million, totaling to $6.1 million. We are anticipating fiscal year 24-25 to close with $0.8 million deficit, which reduces the fund balance from $6.1 million to $15.3 million. And so for fiscal year 24-25, the unreserved fund balance decreases to 9.2. The operating reserve increases to 4.6 million, and then the emergency reserve remains flat. For fiscal year 26, with the surplus budget of $207,000 and one-time project for $565,000 funded out of reserve, the ending fund balance for the general fund for fiscal year 25-26 is anticipated to be $15 million, with operating reserve being 4.9 and decrease in unreserved undesignated fund balance to 8.6 million. Okay, moving along, there are some budget modification that we did during the budget preparation for fiscal year 25-26. Here are the list of delayed CIP, which we will be reviewing at mid-year and bringing it forward for council's approval. We did get some one-time ask from the various agencies, which totals to $565,000. And during the budget study session, it was approved by the council that these will be funded out of the reserve. Okay, so there were some changes from May 22nd study session. The first change was that we did correct the 50,000 clerical error that was under Public Works Administration and Stormwater. We did update personal budget with the revised payroll data. We adjusted the planning department personal budget by removing the senior planner position, which was already budgeted under the underfilled associate planner position. And we also removed the two one-time requests for additional information, which we will be bringing back during mid-year. Those were skate park and tennis court resurfacing. For the personnel budget, here is the org chart for fiscal year 25-26 citywide staffing. I know, I'm sorry, it's too small, but it's everyone. Okay, and then here is the table, which shows the change of one new position that is for the Parks and Rec Director. Okay, moving along, Recreation and Community Funding Program. Recreation and Community Service Program is funded by 1.5% of general fund tax revenue sources. For fiscal year 25-26, the total funding is $318,000, out of which $237,500 is allocated to the program listed here on the slide, and remaining $80,000 can be used for recreation and community discretional funding eligible program. And in order to there are criteria associated with this program to qualify, with the maximum award of $3,000 per fiscal year on based on the city's approved budget. For fiscal year 25-26, we received 27 requests, out of which 25 requests were vetted for $71,450, leaving a remaining balance of $9,175 for future projects. Okay, so for the homeless funding, we have $200,000 budgeted for homeless services in Sonoma Valley for fiscal year 25-26. New contractual changes for 25-26 is that Sonoma County will contract and fund Home First to provide the BNL coordinator role for the Sonoma Valley this year. And then for 25-26, the city did receive additional one-time funding request from Unity Kitchen and Homeless Action Sonoma for a total of $75,000, which will be funded by the general fund reserve. The slide here shows the total funding for homeless service program for fiscal year 25-26, totaling to $275,000. $200,000, out of which the $200,000 is budgeted, and then the $75,000 is the one-time request, which will be funded by the reserve. Moving on to the capital improvement program. The total building and facilities CIP projects for fiscal year 25-26 is $320,000, funded by Fund 304, Parks and Facilities CIP, Fund 610, Long-Term Building Maintenance. This table does include one-time project funded project, which is BF2 for $100,000. Okay, so there are no projects currently budgeted for creeks and drainage. However, these two projects that are listed on the table are deferred for fiscal year 25-26 mid-year ask. Both these projects will be funded by Fund 301, which is Capital Improvement Program. For Parks project, the total CIP project for Parks for fiscal year 25-26 is $645,000, which is funded out of Fund 304, Parks and Facilities CIP, Fund 314, Quimby, and Fund 315, Park Measure M. Next is the street project. The total CIP project for street for fiscal 25-26 is $550,000, funded by Fund 301, Capital Improvement Program, Fund 302, Gas Tax, Fund 303, RMRA SB1. For project T6, Go Sonoma for 100,000. We will be requesting additional 100,000 that has been deferred right now, and we will be bringing that back for the mid-year ask. And that's funded out of Fund 301. And lastly, the total CIP project for water for fiscal year 25-26 is $655,000, and all the projects are funded out of Water CIP Fund 512. The next step is we will be publishing the fiscal year 25-26 online budget book by July 2025. The year-end update for fiscal year 24-25 will be presented to the council in late December or early January. And then we will be coming back with the mid-year review for fiscal year 25-26 with updated 5-year forecast in late January of 2026. With that, the staff concludes the presentation for fiscal year 25-26 budget and request council to approve the following resolutions. I am happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Director Ariel. Do we have any questions from the council? Yes, Councilmember Gurney.
No, after the all-day budget study session that we went through, this certainly reflects what we discussed, and congratulations for bringing a balanced
Thank you.
budget to us to work with.
Thank you.
I only have one tiny question. On
Yeah.
that $50,000, the clerical error, I think was in Public Works. What
Yes.
was that, which way did that error go?
So it increased the budget.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it
It was
increased the
an
budget.
increase in budget.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
budget items.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
great.
with the senior planner, so it balanced out. Senior planner was, so we took that out, so that decreased the budget.
Oh, got it. So it was
Yeah.
related to that.
Yeah, so it was a
Transition, yeah.
wash. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right, so if there's no questions from the council, we will open it up to public comment. Did you want to make another comment, city manager, or, okay, public comment.
Two minutes, there's nobody else speaking. Please give me another.
I will give you another minute. You can have 3 minutes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We just spent a half minute. Robert Demler, First Street West. I really wasn't going to comment. Prompty, you did a great job. Thank you very much. It's very clear. I'm curious about one entry, of course, only one. Depot Park Museum. It's gotten to be a bottomless pit. And you're going to be spending well over $250,000 between what you've allocated for this coming fiscal year and what you've spent recently on HVAC and related expenses. You're asking for a $30,000 study for the Aguilon or Masonavi Cottage. Shouldn't there be a study for the Depot Park Museum instead of just spending money on that particular item? I really think so, because there's no plan for it, and it just sort of pops up, and I make pleas for the Sonoma League for only $12,000 for a silly storage shed, so we can get our archives in order. So please, I think you should take a look at Depot Park Museum and what's happening. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Well, first of all, I'm Madeline Agramani. Do I have to say my address? I can't remember.
You're not are required to. You are not.
Thank you.
We know,
But
yeah.
My first thing I love doing this. All the young people do it. I'm not young. But I would like to say congratulations to you, Propti, Ariel, Finance Director. This is the first budget, I've seen hundreds, that I feel very comfortable looking at. So I appreciate that and congratulate you as city manager and of course the city council. So of course I'm here on behalf of SOS and I know that you're doing wonderful things here in the city and more than others. So I'd just like to say thank you for considering them during the study session, and these fingers are crossed for a positive vote. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Yes, sir.
Hi, Ken Stokes. Again, congratulations and thank you for a balanced budget. That's always a good way to start the budgeting process or the fiscal year. One cloud on the horizon, which I don't think is necessarily going to impact the immediate year, but wasn't mentioned, it relates to the lock-in from mortgage rates, which you did mention, which I think is wise. I think the increased insurance premiums, inability to insure at full value, and inability to get insurance, period, is also going to depress and lock more people in and potentially lead to reassessments in a downward direction eventually. Because if you can't sell it for what you paid for it because you cannot insure it at that, things are going to start to go the other directions. And I hope that doesn't occur, but I think it's a very realistic possibility. But again, congratulations on a good, solid budget for this year.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other public comments? All right, moving forward. Yes.
I just wanted to ask Councilmember Ding if you're still on the board of SOS, this will be the time to provide that disclosure for the record.
Thank you so much, Dave. Yeah, I would like to disclose my board membership with the SOS. According to FPPC from Sacramento, Jack Ding as a city council member and also the board member for SOS. There is no exists any interest in conflicts, so I'm allowed to discuss and make the decision during the city council meeting and in the city council meeting related with SOS. That is my disclosure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes. Councilmember Gurney.
For the city manager, I'm on the board of trustees for Hannah Center, and I believe they had applied for a community grant, and I think we allocated a small award to them. So I guess I need to make that disclosure, even though they're outside the city limits.
Yes, are you a non-compensated?
Non-compensated. It's kind of like this job.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So you would want that disclosure reflected in the minutes?
Yeah, therefore I make said disclosure.
And as long as we're making disclosures right along the road. So I am also on the board of directors of the Sonoma Ecology Center, which is both recipient of grants and contracts with the city of Sonoma, but I am not compensated for that. Although it rewards my life. All right, so moving forward, I'm going to bring it back. I actually do have one question. And it's related to the budget, but it did come from one of the areas of public comment as whether or not it's possible, so you can tell me if I can't ask this question here, but I think it relates, whether or not you public can donate to our affordable housing fund.
Yes, that fund does allow donations to it, tax-free donations to it. It's set up that way as the trust fund.
And they get a tax deduction
I
for
believe
it?
so, yeah. Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And we can make sure that that's known, and I'll talk to our PIO when she returns, and we can see about outreach on that at an appropriate time.
Great, thank you. Yes, follow-up question.
On that,
Councilwoman Moore.
For 3 years, I donated my salary, or whatever you call it, from serving on this council to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. And, it amounted to probably close to $10,000 over the course of 3 to 4 years. I've never received any statement regarding tax deductibility and so forth. So I think that we need to just standardize it in some way. And I'm sure I'm not the only one who does that or does something similar in terms of volunteering. So it just needs to be standardized in some way now that, we receive something.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and that's one of the reasons I'm going to hold off on making this too public, because we do want to make sure we have a process in place to do exactly what you're saying, to make sure we can accept it. Because we have gotten requests for how can we donate to Housing Trust Fund, but also park assets and other things. We just want to make sure we have that squared away before.
Great, thank you. So any others, so we're bringing it now back for discussion to the council. Yes.
Through discussion and drill back and ask staff questions.
I think, yes, you may. Yes. So do you have a question at this point, or?
I'm kind of sorting through, so.
Okay.
I'm gonna sit quiet for a minute.
Okay. Any other comments? Yes, Councilmember Ding?
Yes. And first of all, I would like to say thank you for City Manager and the Finance Director, your professional work, your dedication, and making this happen. We are so happy to see this balanced the budget, which and with compared within the previous 2 years, that is 2 years, and we were running under the deficit. I know the reason that is a structure, the reason historically, but finally we took 2 years and making a nice adjustment. Finally, we got it back to the balanced and the budget. That is not easy. Yeah, I very much appreciate. And another thing is you also mentioned, because right now we are facing a lot of the uncertainty, on the forecast and the issues that are happening, and any federal related funds, related to state, related to the county, and finally when related on the city, we should follow up and closely and making sure we can make adjustments accordingly. That is my comments. Thank you.
And I'll just note on that, we did just receive our last final payment on the federal grant we got for Chase Street Bridge, so that's closed out. That's the one large federal funds. But as you mentioned, a lot of federal funds do come through things for homeless through COC, and then through SCTA for roadway improvement. So we are working with those agencies to make sure that we're keeping track of what that means to us long term.
Councilmember Gurney.
So in light of Mr. Demler's comments, I'm not familiar at all with the museum, and I think I recall that we replaced air conditioning or heating unit. Perhaps in conjunction with the budget that allocates funds for our new parks director, it would be nice to get an update, kind of an overall assessment of what the museum is all about, and what's good, what's not so good, and what the future holds, so that we can look at that maybe more globally.
Absolutely, and part of what the new parks director will be doing is looking at all of our facilities, who's occupying them, what's the best use for those facilities, can we make modifications, and that one is definitely on the list. The work that's being done there are structural fixes that we need to do regardless of who's in it, so it's important to make sure that we maintain that facility so we can use it in the future, but it will be reviewed just like everything else.
Thank you.
And did you want to make a comment, Public Works Director Mike Berger? You appeared to be ready to make one.
Just to segue off of what David just said, is that structural deficiency was identified during the HVAC project, and it's on the must-fix list.
So I guess then the question at one point, with other facilities there on Depot Park, including the Messinave House, what's the process for updating those facilities? Excuse me. Excuse me. Not sure where this is coming from. All right. Excuse me. It's a dry cough. I don't have a flu or a cold or anything, so don't grab your masks. Or you don't have to, or you can if you want to. So all of the above. But yes, it does look like that whole area is going to be looked at, and how we're utilizing, what improvements need to be made, in the effort to be looking at city properties and how do we potentially monetize future use of them. So more to come down the road. I think it's probably a brighter future in that regard. Messinave, not promising anything, just potential. All right, so yes.
I have a comment. Madam Mayor, so we did budget 46,000 under Fund 610 for the city facilities assessment for fiscal year 25-26. So it is, yeah. Thank you.
Great. It's always great when there's a line item attached with something and you can attach something to that line item. So basically what it is, there is a line item in the budget for $46,000 for improvement of city properties.
It's going to be
assessment,
so we can
So
identify,
then they can identify,
prioritize.
yes,
and then-
thank
yeah.
you. All right. Yes, Councilmember Wellander, are you ready for your comments? And questions?
Indeed. I'm going to sound like a broken record, but I'm very much appreciative of the budget that's been brought forth, not only for the fact that it has been projected a balance, but the clarity upon which it was presented and the fact that one can grasp this in a much more, in a way that is very manageable. So thank you for those changes. The item that kept coming up in my mind as I was reviewing everything and given where my passion and the discussions I've had in the past is that I've seen precious little money being designated for the plaza. And we've talked about the need for a sustainable plaza. We've kind of put that in as a goal. And I recognize that sometimes we're influenced by outside sources, and I know that the largest line item right now that we have for the plaza is under security, because it's been identified that due to its logistical layout, we need to provide some large event protection from mishaps. And that's $310,000. Other than that, we have $25,000 for some sort of irrigation thing, which I'm not sure what that's going to be. And then we, to the best of my knowledge, have nothing else projected even in the 5-year capital improvements. So I'm not real encouraged with what I think is the commitment that says, that's been identified as the pearl of the town. We know it needs to be sustained. And I can understand with the uncertainty of 25, 26, but I'm not sure why we weren't a little bit more optimistic in years 27, 28, 29, and 30. So I just want to reemphasize, and maybe I just need to be educated that should I gain the support of my fellow council members about wanting to move forward with projects, that indeed, if it's justified, they will be funded by reserves one time. So I just need to get clarity on that if possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's part of the question is first getting the resource here, which will be the Parks Director, and focusing on what do we want to do and work with the potential of the plaza. The first step is irrigation, as we mentioned before, and that will be started first. That will identify projects. We'll also be looking at electrical. That's part of a contract, identifying electrical needs. And then we have the survey that was just completed, so we now have a base, so we know where some of the drainage issues might be. And so the next step would then be identifying where do we want to go with that, and that could be done with one-time fees, one-time costs, but we don't know what those are yet. We could put a placeholder in there, but I'd rather identify what those are and come back to you potentially in the mid-year and say, here's a project, here's how much it costs, it's one time. Does council want to utilize those funds to get that done? So that's my commitment to you all, is to bring that back, knowing it's a priority for us, but making sure we have the right numbers in place.
Thank you for the clarity. That's all.
Oh, sorry, Councilmember Ding.
Yeah. I have an additional comment regarding the Measure T, sales tax. Right now, we already get it, and as the general expenses, and I'm wondering if we can do a little bit specific for that, is how we can apply these kind of taxes, because when I remember last year when we promoted, we told the people, these kind of money will be used for improve our park for our first responder. So if we can do a little bit of a specific follow-up, or I don't want to say it's an earmark, but something like that. And in the future, when we report to our local residents, and also they know how we can use this money. At that time, we make the right choice, vote the right tax bill. So in this way, we can improve and enhance our residents' confidence to our local government. Thank you.
Yeah, I just have a couple of comments to follow up on those comments. So first of all, when I look at slide 28, even though the trajectory of that trend is positive, it is pretty skinny margin. So I look at that trend and I look at this and I think, oh, yeah, it's going in the right direction, but it is just barely going in the right direction. And any of the risks that were laid out that could become actualities could easily disrupt this trend. And I think, so I just want us to be aware of that. So that's one comment I want us to be really able to think about. We still really need to be focusing how to increase revenues. And I do think the work that is happening both with Park and Recs and looking at city properties as how we, not only are looking at what is needed there, but how do we monetize? And I think that process is moving forward. How do we monetize what we already have? How can our assets make more money for us? And then I think that the other thing is, and I agree that there is a lot of language around the Measure T that talked a lot about Parks and Recs. We are hiring a Parks and Recs director, which is the first step. You're not going to do anything until you have a director, a department, a process, a plan. But also, I think we did also make it very clear that it was a general obligation tax, sales tax, that it was going to be general obligation. And that was so that we could do the additional things when we have the resources in regards to Parks and Recs and, of course, climate and, the climate issues that we all of us here care greatly about. So I just want to, I think that we're managing very tightly. I think being conservative. I'm also very concerned about if there were any specific emergency, whether it be fire or flood or earthquake or, loss of our workforce because of immigration practices, whatever could happen, that could be very disruptive to our budget. I think that having this conservative budget is really definitely the appropriate way to go, and that we have to be very cautious in this next period so that if anything does happen, the amount in our reserve that's dedicated for emergency is really a nominal amount. So anyway, so those are just kind of my comments. Great job on a balanced budget. All that being said, relative to where other cities, counties, state budgets are, this is looking very good, and I think that we're taking the right approach, and it's been great work. And bringing on our finance director, Prapti Arial, it's been fantastic, and thank you, our city manager, for doing that as well.
Through the mayor, before we get into the 6 individual resolutions, could we demonstrate our appreciation with a clap to the staff?
Move on to the very fun part, and if we have no other comments, and as I said, we're going to move through each of these votes all the public comment has been received, all the questions, all the comments from City Council, so we are going to just directly move through each of the resolutions one by one. And we will have a vote by each one, and I will be able to do a vote of affirmation. So number 1, a resolution of City Council of the City of Sonoma and the successor agency of the former Sonoma Community Development Agency adopting the fiscal year 25-26 City of Sonoma operating budget and approving community fund program. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, all those opposed? I will do opposed just to make sure there's none there. Okay, and So, and then I will not, versus repeating the first part, I will go to the second part. And so this is authorizing capital project funds appropriated and unspent in fiscal year 2024-25 to be rolled into the fiscal year 25-26, 2025-26 budget. Do I have a motion?
move to approve.
Yes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Yes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, moving on to number 3. Authorizing the city manager to approve and carry forward operational funds for one-time projects appropriated and unspent in fiscal year 2024-25 to be rolled into fiscal year 2025-26 budget. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Number 4, a resolution of the City Council and City of Sonoma authorizing the city manager to fund Recreation and Community Services discretionary funding program for the fiscal year 2025-26 budget. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Number 5, a resolution of the City Council and City of Sonoma approving a budget amendment for fiscal year 2025-26 to authorize the use of general fund unreserved fund balance to support one-time projects and authorize the city manager to execute or amend contracts with various vendors. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Okay, good one. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? And number 6, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Sonoma establishing the appropriations limit for the fiscal year 2025-26. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
A second.
I second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? None.
No.
Thank you. And so the budget is approved. Yay. Good work, everybody. And now we are going to our agenda item number 10, which I believe is, 11, which is adjournment. I adjourn this meeting. Is now at 7:23.
Wow.
And along with the little hammery digity thing, the little platform for the hammer is also gone. Yeah, so I guess one could use one's head.